in summary, transfer of learning is a huge problem for all training, any training anybody does. And so the implication here is that if you want to minimize the transfer issues, you work with the group. It doesn't have to be that you're doing a T group. You do it with any group. Work with the intact group and the supervisor, and you will greatly, there's nothing much to transfer. Stranger trainings, workshop trainings where they go back to their crew. Come on. The fundamental thing about how people function in the world is which group they're in. The environment they're in. It's Kurt Levine's behavior is a function of the person and the environment. And I've seen organizations, in fact I saw striking one that had 8 groups. This one was highly functional, highly productive, best safety record. I could go on. This over here, the 8th group, was worst safety record, very bad productive, bad equality, etc. And the company tried to fix it by taking people from some of the higher groups and placing them in lower groups, and some of the lower people placing them in higher groups. The lower people who got up here immediately began to function well. People that went down here immediately adapted, not immediately, but soon. They soon were carefully taught by the rest of the group what the norms were, how you function in this group. You don't work too hard. Why are you doing that? And so just transferring people did not shift it. So what you had to do was, which we had a chance to do then, in that organization after they had experimented with all this. We had a chance to go in and work with all 8 groups. And I can tell you that if they were this far apart when we went in, and they were, like this one group up here had 2% of the safety problems. The 8th group had 26% of the safety problems. And it matched all the way down. It was an unbelievable study done by an independent researcher that we hired him, but he found that out. Now, when we started working with the intact groups and also increasing the clarity about the role of the supervisor, I can tell you this, it still stayed pretty much 1 to 8, but it moved to here. In other words, this group became much more productive, but they never became this productive, at least while we were there. But at least the great gap was somewhat closed by working with intact groups to shift their norms, and also providing a supervisor who herself had a 2-year graduate program with us, and she was, which included at least some T group sessions every one of the 12 modules over 2 years, and she was powerful. And incidentally, if anybody's wondering what do I mean she was, there were others, no, there was only one supervisor for these 8. She was enough to hold them accountable, but obviously they had a lot of freedom. You have 8 crews and 1 supervisor. You're still going to have a lot of freedom, but that supervisor has to really be good. And she